Hi, I'm Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading for March 8th. And I'm reading Deuteronomy 28 to 29 from the World English Bible. And it always amazes me how much you can get out of just these little 15-minute increments of the word and how easy it is to get through the Bible in a year just by taking advantage of these little minutes. And they're so valuable to me. I learned so much. And granted, what we've been reading, I think Deuteronomy and Leviticus, some of these dissertations of the law, Moses talking about the law, they're hard to understand or they seem so um, just far removed, their culture, and they're just hard to understand, some of them. But you know what? I always get something of value out of it. And it surprises me how much I get out of it, really, just by that discipline of reading through. And sometimes I don't even realize it till, a month or so goes by and I start seeing these themes. This happened last year when I started getting an understanding of God's pure justice. You may have heard me speak about that and how he suffers long and he waits before he brings judgment. And it's his great love and mercy, allowing people time to repent and doing everything to wake them up and bring them to awareness of their depravity and their need, and really allowing them to prove their decision to just remain wicked and not repent and turn toward God. And another time reading through, I began to see that theme of God's great joy. And I won't talk about that now, but you may have heard me speak about it before. And so really just reading the Bible for these few minutes every day gives God place to begin to teach us about himself and about life and about how he operates and how he has designed things and about relationships and ourselves. And so much can be gleaned out of this brilliant collection of books. I do believe it's inspired. I believe the Lord has put it together and protected it. Um, and he has a way of being able to do that in spite of our imperfection, in spite of the fact that, like, did they include all the books they needed to in the canon? Were some left out? Um, people bring up a lot of these questions over the years. Some people think the Book of Enoch should have been in. Some include the books of the Apocrypha, but in spite of all that, God is able to use and move through this amazing word to reveal himself and to speak to our life personally and um, move by his spirit in our lives. It's truly amazing. So let me get started in today's section. It is Deuteronomy 28, verse 1. It shall happen, if you shall listen diligently to Yahweh your God's voice, to observe to do all his commandments which I command you today, that Yahweh your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you listen to Yahweh your God's voice. You shall be blessed in the city, you shall be blessed in the field, you shall be blessed in the fruit of your body, the fruit of your ground, the fruit of your animals, the increase of your livestock, and the young of your flock. Your basket and your kneading trough shall be blessed. You shall be blessed when you come in, and you shall be blessed when you go out. Yahweh will cause your enemies who rise up against you to be struck before you. They will come out against you one way and will flee before you seven ways. Yahweh will command the blessing on you in your barns and in all that you put your hand to. He will bless you in the land which Yahweh your God gives you. Yahweh will establish you for a holy people to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you keep the commandment of Yahweh your God and walk in his ways. All the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by Yahweh's name, and they will be afraid of you. Yahweh will grant you abundant prosperity in the fruit of your body, in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give you. Yahweh will open to you his good treasure in the sky, to give the rain of your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. I love that. I love that it says the good treasure in the sky. It shows this gratefulness for the rain. I mean, when they're cultivators of the land, that is good treasure, isn't it? It still is to us today, but they really appreciated that. It's beautiful. I'm going to read it again, verse 12. Yahweh will open to you his good treasure in the sky, to give you the rain of your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. And having that rain in season is really important, right? There's times when you don't want the rain. Um, it says, you will lend to many nations and you will not borrow. Yahweh will make you the head and not the tail. You will be above only, and you will not be beneath. If you listen to the commandments of Yahweh your God, which I command you today, to observe and to do. So remember, the New Testament says, be a doer of the word and not a hearer only, deceiving yourself. Verse 14. and shall not turn away from any of the words which I command you today to the right or to the left to go after other gods and serve them. But it shall come to pass, if you will not listen to Yahweh your God's voice, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command you today, that all these curses will come on you and overtake you. You will be cursed in the city, you will be cursed in the field, your basket and kneading trough will be cursed. The fruit of your body, the fruit of your ground, the increase of your livestock, and the young of your flock will be cursed. You will be cursed when you come in and cursed when you go out. Yahweh will send on you cursing, confusion, and rebuke in all that you put your hand to do, until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly because of the evil of your doings, by which you have forsaken me. Yahweh will make the pestilence cling to you until he has consumed you from off the land where you go in to possess it. Yahweh will strike you with consumption, with fever, with inflammation, with fiery heat, with the sword, with blight, and with mildew. They will pursue you until you perish. Your sky that is over you will be bronze, and the earth that is under you will be iron. Yahweh will make the rain of your land powder and dust. It will come down on you from the sky until you are destroyed. Yahweh will cause you to be struck before your enemies. You will go out one way against them and will flee 7 ways before them. You will be tossed back and forth among all the kingdoms of the earth. Your dead bodies will be food to the birds of the sky and to the animals of the earth. There will be no one to frighten them away. Yahweh will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with the tumors and the scurvy and the itch of which you cannot be healed. Yahweh will strike you with madness and blindness and with astonishment of heart. You will grope at noonday as the blind gropes in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways. You will only be oppressed and robbed always, and there will be no one to save you. You will betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. You will build a house, and you won't dwell in it. You will plant a vineyard and not use its fruit. Your ox will be slain before your eyes, and you will not eat any of it. Your donkey will be violently taken away from before your face, and will not be restored to you. Your sheep will be given to your enemies, and you will have no one to save you. Your sons and your daughters will be given to another people. Your eyes will look and fail with longing for them all day long. There will be no power in your hand. A nation which you don't know, will eat the fruit of your ground and all of your work. You will only be oppressed and crushed always, so that the sights that you see with your eyes will drive you mad. Yahweh will strike you with sore boil, of which you cannot be healed from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head. Yahweh will bring you and your king, whom you will set over yourselves, to a nation that you have not known, you nor your fathers. There you will serve other gods of wood and stone. You will become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the people where Yahweh will lead you away. You will carry much seed out into the field and will gather little in, for the locusts will consume it. You will plant vineyards and dress them, but you will neither drink of the wine nor the harvest, because worms will eat them. You will have olive trees throughout all your borders, but you won't anoint yourselves with the oil, for your olives will drop off. You will father sons and daughters, but they will not be yours. They will go into captivity. Locusts will consume all of your trees and the fruit of your ground. The foreigner who is among you will mount up above you higher and higher, and you will come down lower and lower. He will lend to you, and you won't lend to him. He will be the head, and you will be the tail. All of these curses will come on you and will pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you didn't listen to Yahweh your God's voice to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded you. They will be for a sign and a wonder to you and your offspring forever, because you didn't serve Yahweh your God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, by reason of the abundance of things. Therefore you will serve your enemies whom Yahweh sends against you in hunger and thirst, in nakedness and in lack of all things. He will put an iron yoke on your neck until he has destroyed you. Yahweh will bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you will not understand, a nation of fierce facial expressions that doesn't respect the elderly nor show favor to the young. They will eat the fruit of your livestock and the fruit of your ground until you are destroyed. They also won't leave you grain, new wine, oil, the increase of your livestock, or the young of your flock, until they have caused you to perish. They will besiege you in all your gates until your high and fortified walls, in which you trusted, come down throughout your land. They will besiege you in all your gates throughout all of your land, which Yahweh your God has given you. You will eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your own sons and daughters, whom Yahweh your God has given you, in the siege and in the distress which your enemies will distress you. The man who is tender among you and very delicate, his eye will be evil toward his brother, toward the wife whom he loves, and toward the remnant of his children whom he has remaining, so that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat, because he has nothing left to him, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemy will distress you in all your gates. The tender and the delicate woman among you who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye will be evil toward the husband she loves, toward her son, toward her daughter, toward her young one who comes out from between her feet, and toward her children whom she bears. For she will eat them secretly for lack of all things in the siege and in the distress with which your enemy will distress you in your gates. If you will not observe to do all the words of this book, or all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear the glorious and fearful name Yahweh your God, then Yahweh will make your plagues and the plagues of your offspring fearful, even great plagues, and of long duration, and severe sickness, and of long duration. He will bring on you again all the diseases of Egypt which you were afraid of, and they will cling to you. Also every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this law. Yahweh will bring them on you until you are destroyed. You will be left few in number, even though you were as the stars of the sky for multitude, because you didn't listen to Yahweh your God's voice. It will happen that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good, to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to cause you to perish and to destroy you. You will be plucked from the land that you are going in to possess. Yahweh will scatter you among all peoples from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. There you will serve other gods which you have not known, you nor your fathers, even wood and stone. Among these nations you will find no ease, and there will be no rest for the soles of your foot, but Yahweh will give you there a trembling heart, failing of eyes, and pining of soul. Your life will hang in doubt before you. You will be afraid night and day. You will have no assurance of your life. In the morning you will say, I wish it were evening. In the evening I will say, I wish it were morning. For the fear of your heart which you will fear, and for the sights which your eyes will see. Yahweh will bring you into Egypt again with ships, by the way of which I told you that you would never see it again. There you will offer yourselves to your enemies for male and female slaves, and nobody will buy you. These are the words of the covenant which Yahweh commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, in addition to the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. Moses called to all Israel and said to them, your eyes have seen all that Yahweh did in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and to his servants and to all his land, the great trials which your eyes saw, the signs and the great wonders. But Yahweh has not given you a heart to know, eyes to see, and ears to hear to this day. I have led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not grown old on you, and your sandals have not grown old on your feet. You have not eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that you may know that I am Yahweh your God. Let me stop and share a thought. So in reading, this is right off the top of my head, I'll see if I can articulate it clearly enough. But I was just reading through the list of curses, and when it says things like Yahweh will rejoice over you, I find myself questioning, kind of going through the files of my mind, like, I thought God was a good God. Would he do that? Why would he rejoice? Why? What's going on here? Because I tend to think that the Lord gives these instructions as a form of protection. And he's letting them know, it is my desire to bless you. I want to bless you. I'm telling you these commandments so you know the way of blessing. Here's the way, walk in it. Setting before you life and death, choose life. He's protecting them. He's saying, if you go outside of these boundaries, this is what's going to happen. And this is what you're going to create. And then, there's a certain realm of death and destruction that God doesn't tolerate. And I guess you could say it is his pleasure to clean it up and get rid of it, because he just doesn't tolerate that kind of wickedness and harm. And it's like a cancer, right? So I'm just thinking out loud here. It says, in this last part, it went from talking about all the curses to, now you've seen the signs and wonders. You've seen how your clothes haven't worn out, your sandals haven't worn out on your feet. So it's like this. I guess to wrap up this thought is, it's almost like he's saying, look, I've made it clear to you who I am and my desire for you, and how you can walk in this blessing. If you walk outside of it, I can't help you. I'm not going to be able to protect you. And it goes back to that whole thing, like I said, of God's perfect justice, because he's doing everything. He's made every way for them to be under that umbrella of protection, and to show them, to make it clear, and to make his way known, and to show the contrast between him, the reality of this great God creator versus the usurper and these false gods and the fallen angels that are creating all this craziness. The giants, the mythology, the idols. It's all really lumped into one thing, and God's fierce objection to all that. So he's made the contrast clear, and now it's your choice, basically, is what he's saying. So let me continue reading here. Let me find this part about the sandals on your feet. Okay, so your clothes have not grown old on you, and your sandals have not grown old on your feet. You have not eaten bread, neither have you drunk wine or strong drink, that you may know that I am Yahweh your God. When you came to this place, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, the king of Bashan, those were both giants, came out against us to battle, and we struck them. We took their land and gave it for an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Those are the ones that stayed on the east side of the Jordan. Didn't go in and get their inheritance on the Canaan land on the west side. Therefore, keep the words of this covenant to do them, that you may prosper in all that you do. All of you stand today in the presence of Yahweh your God, your heads, your tribes, your elders, your officers, even all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and the foreigners who are in the middle of your camps, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, that you may enter into the covenant of Yahweh your God, and into this oath which Yahweh your God makes with you today, that he may establish you today as his people, and that he may be your God, as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither do I make this covenant and this oath with you only, but with those who stand here and with us before Yahweh our God, and also with those who are not here with us today. For you know how we lived in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the middle of the nations through which you passed. And you have seen their abominations and their idols of wood, stone, silver, and gold, which were among them. Lest there should be among you man, woman, family, or tribe whose heart turns away today from Yahweh our God to go to serve gods of those nations, lest there should be among you a root that produces bitter poison. And it happens, when he hears the words of this curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. See, that's a deception. Remember, in the New Testament it says, be a doer and not a hearer only, deceiving yourself. Let me read this again. It says, and it happens when he hears the words of the curse, that he bless himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, to destroy the moist with the dry. Yahweh will not pardon him, but then Yahweh's anger and his jealousy will smoke against the man, and all the curse that is written in this book will fall on him, and Yahweh will blot out his name from under the sky. Yahweh will set him apart for evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant written in the book of the law. The generation to come, your children who will rise up after you, and the foreigner who will come from a far land will say, when they see the plagues of the land and the sickness which Yahweh has made it sick, that all of its land is sulfur, salt, and burning, that is not sown, doesn't produce, nor does any grass grow in it, like the overthrow of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and his wrath. Even all the nations will say, why has Yahweh done this to the land? What does the heat of this great anger mean? Well, it's a long one. A couple more paragraphs. Then men will say, because they abandoned the covenant of Yahweh, the God of their fathers, which he made with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, and went and served other gods and worshipped them, gods they didn't know and that he had not given them. Therefore Yahweh's anger burned against this land to bring it on it all the curses that are written in the book. Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger, in wrath, and in great indignation, and thrust them into another land as it is today. Remember, and there's still one or two more verses, but remember, we read a couple days ago, and it said, before you go into Canaan, you need to know, don't do there what the nations before it did, the abominations that they committed that caused the land to vomit them out. Cause them to vomit them out. And see here, we just read in verse 28, Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger and wrath and great indignation. So they went in, God blessed. Let's look at America as a comparison real quick. God's great blessing and protection was on America, and America has forgotten the Lord in a great part, and really forsaken him and pushed him out. Where children used to recite the Lord's Prayer every day in school, we have other things being recited there instead. Pornography in the libraries and whatnot. Come on. Look at the Grammys the other night. This is 2023. Uh, uh, Play acting of the devil on stage, and so much evil. So anyway, this says that puts them in danger of the land vomiting them out, those kind of abominations. This is repeated in cultures throughout history, I believe. These nations, they grow up and then they just become corrupt, and then they collapse, they fall, they can't sustain that way. They're not designed to sustain that way. So it says here, verse 28, Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger and wrath and great indignation, excuse me, and thrust them into another land as it is today. So I guess what I was trying to say, there's a principle there that repeats itself. Maybe not exactly and identical, but governments, whether family government, church government, business government, government, they're designed to operate in truth and righteousness, not corruption and evil and abomination and whatnot. Demonic worship. They're not created, they're not sustainable that way. So it says, last verse, the secret things belong to Yahweh our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of the law. So I love that it ends with that, because I was talking about being a doer of the word. Let me read that verse one more time. The secret things belong to Yahweh our God, but the things that are revealed belong to us. There's a lot in that, but you could even say the things that we don't know, we're not responsible for, but the things we do know, we are responsible for. And it says, and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of the law. So we want to be a doer of the word and not a hearer only, right? Bend our hearts before God, humility, walk circumspectly, uprightly, to the best of our ability. Amen. All right. Thanks for joining me. And I'll see you next time. God bless you.